Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And this is my buddy Puccini. He helps me in the craft room. And if nothing else, he keeps me company. He's just a sweetie. We have a fun card for you today. I'm back to the tea papers and the tea suite. It's just so much fun, and the colors are so cheery when you're using the new in colors. So I have made a card that I think is pretty easy and pretty striking, and it's a take care of yourself card, so a kind of take care card. So let's just get started. Here is my card, and I purposely am mixing some of the colors that make a big contrast, and I love the way this one came out. It says take care of yourself, and it's got those teapots in the back and this cup, and then on the inside of the card I've got a piece of that same paper that's used on the front, and the teacup is in the reverse pattern, so the lighter behind and the darker in front. And I've messed around a little bit. Here's another one that I made. This one was using the lemon papers and the orchid paper, and I used pearls on this one, and I used my new blends in the orchid color, the light orchid, to do those. On this one I used these, which are the glossy dot assortment that's new, and I thought that one matched the orchid, the Tahitian tide color pretty well. So I used that one there, colored the pearls here, and we'll just see what works on this next one. So those are the two I've made so far, and on this one the same kind of thing. I used a long strip this way and put my teacup in, again, the reverse order here, and added a couple of strips of paper here to bring a little bit of that outside to the inside. So on this one, continuing with that theme of papers that provide some contrast, I'm using the Parakeet Party card base here. Let me just give that an extra burnish so it'll stay closed. All right, and so I'm using the Parakeet Party base. I'm using the orchid piece, and what I did on this very first one, I've shifted a little bit. I made this piece 3 inches by 5, and then I made the piece behind it, because I was using cardstock, 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. And on this one I realized that when I use this paper, this designer series paper that comes in the tea paper pack, this one, I couldn't get 2 cards out of a sheet because I cut this larger. So on this one I cut this 3 inches by 5 1/4, and this piece on the inside 2 3/4 by 5, and that way you can get 2 cards out of each piece of paper that way. So if you're going to back it with the designer series paper, you want to cut this 3 inches so you get 2 pieces out of it. All right, I hope that's clear. So on this one I'm using the Parakeet Party, and I'm using this pretty orchid. I love the contrast of those 2 colors. And then this pattern paper had the teapots in it. Again, different teapots than those. These are the taller, larger ones, and these are the more traditional size. But it had the Parakeet Party in it, so I really like that as a contrast. And then for my teacups, this is the designer series paper that matches the best, and so I cut that out of a more bold pattern that had mostly this orchid color in it for my cup for the inside, for the outside, and for my cup for the inside I did the reverse. I used the lighter color on the top piece, and the solid I used the pattern paper that has this pretty crisscross pattern, but it also has that orchid in it. So that's what I did. So you need a piece of scrap of both of these to cut out those two pieces. I used a piece of this Sahara sand ribbon, and this comes in a 2-pack with a Sahara sand and old olive. And it seems to really work across all of these. Then I also have cut a piece of the pattern paper for the inside, and then a couple pieces of the colored paper here, the other matching paper, to bring the outside to the inside. Then for this one, this is what I'm using, this piece of designer series paper, and this is 2 inches by 1 inch. So this piece is 2 1/4 or 2 1/8 by 1 1/8. So just for a very small matte border around that there, so that I can separate the colors. This one kind of disappeared because it went into the orchid color. So then I need just one more little piece of cardstock to go across here, and I could cut another piece of this to go across there, or another piece of this orchid, and I think the orchid would look the best. So that's what I'll do. I'll cut a 1/4 inch piece of the orchid paper to go across the front of this. We'll tie that whole thing together. So I think that's going to work. Then, so this is my parts for the inside. This is the pieces for the outside and the inside, and I have my stamp mounted. Let me show you the stamp set and the die set. This is Cup of Tea, and it's got all kinds of teacups and flowers and lots of sentiments. And then the dies are in fact similar. There's the 2 cup dies that I used, but it cuts out this bunch of flowers here at the top, and then this stamp set is those items are all connected, so you can just stamp flowers over the top of that. And here's the die set that cuts those out, and then you have some additional flowers here that you could add, hearts that you can add to the inside of that, and tea tags, different sizes here, a little lemon wedge. So there's all kinds of little things that you can do with this paper and tea set. All right, let's just get going here. So the first thing I'm going to do is adhere these 2 pieces together. And there we go. All right, next is this little bit of ribbon, and so I need my silicone mat, and for this I use my dot runner because it lays down the glue a little more sparsely and makes it a little easier to adhere. Then this is up, right about there. It's maybe a little less than 1/3 the way up, and then glue that, anchor that behind. This is the extra piece of orchid that I cut, and so what I need to do is just add a little bit of snail to the back of that piece and put it down just over the top of the bottom of the ribbon there, and have that come all the way across. Then I can use my snips to cut that and get a perfect fit. And there we go. Now this piece is ready to go on here, and I raised this one on dimensionals. This piece is now ready to go on our card. I'm going to add it so that there's some margin top and bottom here that's similar. And then we have to decide which of the teacups, the one that has the lighter in the front or the darker. And I think that adds a nice contrast. Yep, I think I like that one better on the front. So again, I'm going to add a little bit of snail to this pattern piece and adhere that to my Night of Navy and Orchid cup. I think those are the colors. And I'm just going to put this up on dimensionals. Okay, this piece is ready to go on the front of my card, and I'm just going to put that little teacup down so that it crosses over the top of that ribbon. All right, stamping. So then I think what we'll do is we will use the Orchid ink to add the sentiment to this. And I've got my pieces cut here. My stamp is ready to go. Now this stamp is very off-center, so you don't have to worry too much about straight. The take actually comes down this way. Care looks like it's across. This whole thing is down this way. So just do your best to get it on there and fit on your piece of designer series paper as centered as you can get it. Oh, I forgot to put down my pierce mat. Oh, that worked just fine. Okay, so now make sure that's dry. And I'm going to add some snail to the back of this and mat that with the orchid. Okay, so now this also needs a couple of dimensionals. All right, so that's going to go on our card here. Now I have some iridescent pearls here. Maybe I'll just, these are new this year, iridescent pearl basic jewels. And I think maybe I'm going to color some of these in the orchid. And when I did it last time, I thought that the color on the light blend was a little closer to the orchid paper. And we still get that iridescence through on this. So I'm going to color up a few of these. I'm not sure how many I'm going to use, so I'll color a few extras. But I'd like a pretty good sized one here on my cup. And there's that runaway. I'm going to add it up here on the sentiment. And then I'm going to put a few of these little ones around here on the card. I like these kinds of embellishments kind of clustered around my focal piece. And there we go. I think that looks pretty good. All right, now for the inside of the card, what we have left is these strips of paper and my teacup. So on the inside of this, I'm going to add this piece of pattern paper. About like that. And then I'm going to actually place this piece over that on this side. I think it'll look better if it's not quite so big, and then it has the orchid right on the top of it. So there we go. Now this one, I ran my stripes the other way because I thought it would be more interesting, and put that one down just next to that one. And I think that brings that into the card. And now these two pieces can be adhered together. And this is actually very easy to do. It fits together really, really well. There we go. And then this one, because it's on the inside and I don't want a lot of dimension, I'm just going to do that one flat, give it a little angle, and I think these little pearls would be fine. I'm going to tuck one of those right up here near the handle to give a little sparkle. Okay, so that is it. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. There's a special offer going on right now through the month of May that gives you your normal $250 worth of product for $99. But in addition, you get $66.50 worth of in-color products. You get packages of all 5, full packages of the cardstock for all 5 colors, and you get the designer series paper that has the in colors in it, and you get the 5 ink pads that go with it, and you get some grid paper that has the in colors in it. So a pretty good deal. So and if you join now, you don't have to meet your first minimum until the end of September. So it's a good time to join. All right, that's it for me. Let's see. My prize draw for the month is a $60 shopping spree on me. And you can put yourself in the drawing by placing an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net. And you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. There's a new Puccini picture up this week. And like I've said recently, I'm going to be doing my newsletter on my blog. So once a week I'll put up what's new with Stampin' Up. So again, that's it for me, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more tips, and more projects. Bye.